Good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey. Happy to have in studio this morning from Mason Transit, Christina Fremont. Good morning.
Good morning, Jeff.
How are you?
Good. Thanks for asking. And you?
I am well. Weathered this storm over the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
So let me ask you this. Somebody who relies on Mason Transit on a daily basis, either to get to work or wherever, sees all this rain out there and thinks, oh my gosh, what if my route's affected?
Right.
What do I do?
Right.
What do they do?
Well, first, you're going to want to verify that your route may or may not have been affected.
Okay.
Because, for instance, with this most recent storm last week, Mason County got hit by a lot of rain. There were some areas of flooding. However, none of our routes were impacted by that. But Dial-A-Ride, however, where you had the areas where roads were flooded, that area is not going to be served by Dial-A-Ride. Mm-hmm. So how do you find that out? Multiple ways. So as you've said before, we have our Twitter account. Mm-hmm. Our Twitter account, that is primarily service alerts, and that's twitter.com/Mason Transit is where you can find us, or you can just Google us. And then we also will post on our website. We have a couple different locations we post on our website. At the top of our website, there's a rolling kind of scroll bar, mm-hmm. and that's really like pertinent emergency information. So if there's something happening, it's going to be put up there. We also have a Ride Alert page on our website where we will try to put stuff, but if we're talking like instantaneous kind of things happening, it's most likely going to be on that front page.
Okay.
Or temporary stuff, where it's like if there's a road that's only closed for a little while, say a tree got hit by lightning and it fell, and they're going to have alternating traffic for maybe an hour. That kind of thing we might not put on the Rider Alert page because it's so temporary, but we would put it on Twitter. We would put it on that scrolling roll bar. And then a really neat feature that we have on our website, which you'll find on the Rider Alert page, is you can subscribe to Rider Alerts and get them directly to your phone or to an email account. And of course, we keep your information private. We're not going to sell it or anything like that. It's literally just so we can text you or email you and say, hey, there's a tree down on Highway 101 and Route 6 is 30 minutes behind, kind of thing.
That's really cool.
So that's really neat. So if you're somebody who is super, dependent and relying on public transit, and I would highly suggest the Ride Alert subscriptions. I would say you're not going to get bombarded either. We don't spam you with other stuff. I want to say maybe on average you might get 1 or 2 notifications a month.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's a pretty good deal. We have a few folks signed up for that. And then our Facebook page will put a little bit of stuff on, but because there's not the immediacy on Facebook, we don't quite do as much service alerts. That's a little more like ahead of time, like, oh, hey, we're closed for the holiday kind of thing.
Let's talk about Vanpools then, too, in this weather. What if your Vanpool driver can't do their route?
They have backup Vanpool drivers.
Okay.
So every Vanpool group has a primary driver and then they have a backup driver. And so if your primary driver can't do it, then that would enact the backup driver trying. And then if the backup driver couldn't, then that would be, I would assume maybe the group trying to ride together in a car instead of the van, or using public transit or having to drive. Or depending on if it's like they're in the middle of a trip kind of thing, we have our guaranteed ride home program and we'll find them a way to get to work and home.
Okay, good. The Transit Community Center opened, and a lot of the transit traffic headed towards that area. Mm-hmm. But there's still a stop right in front of the Civic Center.
Yes, there is.
And tomorrow, there's a job fair at the Civic Center.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. We actually aren't going to be there because we're not hiring right now.
Okay.
So, however, yes, you can take public transit. Route 5 is a route that starts about 6 in the morning and goes till 8 at night. It's every hour. So there's hourly service right there at the Civic Center if you're wanting to attend that event and use public transit, and it's free.
And it's free. That would be a good deal then, for sure. MasonTransit.org, where you can find all sorts of information, as we were talking about Rider Alerts. The other cool thing, powered by Google, is the Trip Planner.
Yep.
And that will take you into other transit agencies.
Yeah.
If we need to get to Sound or Intercity, it'll do that.
Yeah, so basically any transit agency that has developed a code and submitted it, you'll find on there. So I say that because I want to caution folks as far as particularly more rural areas, you might not see a connection via transit on Google Maps because maybe that transit agency doesn't have data submitted. So you still always want to verify, but I think it's a great first step for your trip planning. going on Google Transit and going, okay, here's where I want to go. Okay, I see this agency. There's a little bit of a pocket here. I'm wondering, is there really transit available? And then I would recommend maybe calling and just double checking if it's the first time you've done the trip, and making sure the information is accurate. As we all know, the internet is wonderful, but there are things like black holes and technology loops and stuff like that.
Sure.
So you always want to double check on a first trip. If you've done it more than once, twice and that kind of thing, then, I don't always double check my trips now. But if it's the first time, you better believe I do.
Oh, yeah.
I will call the agency and I will say, I've done my trip planning. This is the information I have found. Will you please verify the times are still correct, the fare is correct, and that I can make my connections or any other information. Can I bring my luggage? How much luggage can I bring? Can I bring my pet goat? Whatever it is you need to know. So it's a really, really neat feature. I use it all the time when I'm traveling in other states because, of course, being a public transit person, I like using public transit.
You gotta check in on the other ridership out there. Very cool. MasonTransit.org, on Twitter @MasonTransit, and on Facebook.com/Mason.Transit is where you can find Mason Transit all over the interwebs. Christina Fremont, thank you so much. As always, nice talking with you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Have a great day. See you next week.